Today we're gonna make a molten chocolate pie. It is a super easy chocolate pie filling that is all whisked together in one bowl. It is decadent and rich and fudgy in texture, and it just melts in your mouth. It's super easy to make and just tastes like an absolute dream. If you're enjoying this video, be sure to hit the subscribe button below and click the bell icon to be notified every time I post a new and delicious recipe. Let's get into it. So, super easy, totally promise. There's a lot, it looks like a lot going on, but I promise it's not. We are first going to melt all of our kind of like wet ingredients, so our chocolate. So I've got semi-sweet chocolate in this bowl here. You could use any dark chocolate you like. If you do too sweet, sweeter than semi-sweet, then it might be a little cloyingly sweet, in my opinion. So we've got chocolate. This is cubed butter, unsalted, because we add our salt separately. Again, so this is kosher salt. And then this is espresso powder. I use one specific brand. I'll drop the link below. They vary greatly in their flavors, and it will completely change the flavor of your dish. So be careful choosing an instant espresso. Make sure that it is something that you enjoy the flavor of. And then this is cocoa powder. This is Dutch processed. You could use non-Dutch processed if you'd like. It doesn't really matter. I love the flavor, the robust flavor of Dutch processed cocoa powders. It's also going to make your dish your pie a little bit darker. And so it's just really just lovely there. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna take these and we're gonna place them over a bowl of simmering water. And then we're going to just stir it occasionally. We wanna melt it. We don't want it to be blazing hot because we are gonna put it with our eggs, but we do want it to be warm and melted. So just go ahead and set that over here and let it be. Meanwhile, we are going to whisk together our eggs and sugar. So in this bowl, I've got whole eggs, and then I've got myself some egg yolks. Go ahead and get that in here. And then we're gonna give that a whisk. I like to go ahead and whisk my eggs and egg yolks before I add my sugar because I want to make sure that they are perfectly homogeneous, that there's no streaks of white, that there's no unprotected yolks in there that are going to, denature with our sugar. So we're gonna go ahead and just whisk that really, really well. Hopefully keep it in the bowl. She's looking good. Let's check in our chocolate. Believe it or not, it is the butter that is gonna take the longest time to melt. So, I try to get that towards the bottom, but this is granulated sugar. Add that to our eggs, and then light brown sugar. Go ahead and get that in there. And we're gonna give these a really good whisk. We are trying to incorporate a little bit of air, lighten them a little bit. You can see that there's some chunks in my light brown sugar. It's fine. It's gonna have plenty of time to relax and kind of melt into the eggs here. So go ahead and give these a good whisk. You want to, let them to lighten slightly. It's going to be a little hard to see because the sugar, the brown sugar, is discoloring them a little bit. You don't want to do this stage too early because if your eggs and your sugar sit together too long, then the sugar will start to denature the protein regardless of how well you whisk the eggs. And then you're going to get those kind of hard bits of eggs in your pie, and we don't want that. So I hear some things that are happening over here. Yes, it looks like it's boiling. I'm going to go ahead and turn it down just a little bit. You do want it to be simmering down there, but you do not want water to get into your chocolate mixture or it is going to seize it, because water and chocolate are not friends. They will never be friends. It's best not to force them to play on the playground, okay? It's just my personal and professional opinion. You can see that not much is happening in my bowl yet. I'm really waiting on those butter pieces. Some of the chocolate's a little bit starting to melt. The cocoa powder is starting to melt a little bit as well, but there's really nothing exciting happening. All right, so we're gonna give this one more quick whisk. Look at that, she's looking good. You can see it's lightened a little bit. I mean, it is a little hard to tell because of the the brown sugar, but it has kind of gotten a little bit more voluminous. So really the only other component of this pie is the pie crust. So you will need a partially baked or a par-baked pie crust. You can watch my video on how to do that up there. Essentially, you want, by this stage, you would pretty much want your pie crust to already be par-baked. Mine, unfortunately, this morning I did not have enough time, so she is sitting in the fridge. She's doing her final chill before I bake her. And so we just want to make sure that we give her the time that she needs. This is going to be fine. So you can make it all at once. But I just want to make sure that she's good before I proceed. So nothing good happens from rushing your pie crust, peeps. All right, so just every now and again, obviously, of course, just go ahead and give this a stir. Make sure that no water is spitting into it. You can see that it's almost melted in here. There's a few stubborn little pieces. Not really sure. It's probably cocoa powder, to be honest, but it's very hard to tell. So we just have to kind of wait for them to do their thing. All right, we are here, my friends. So we've got a nice, smooth chocolate in here. I'm gonna go ahead and lift this up, turn my water off, being careful not to get any water in there. I am going to wipe the bottom. I know. And then, so you can see that this is, it's a thick mixture, right? That is the cocoa powder that has made it thick. So as long as your chocolate is not too hot, which really it shouldn't be, if you just melted it and didn't just like let it sit over there, then we can go ahead and combine all of this. So go ahead and you can take the chocolate, you want to put all of the chocolate in at one time. This is not a time to do small, short additions. This is a time to get everything in all at once. You don't want to, otherwise sometimes because your eggs are most likely cold, your chocolate could seize if you do kind of two smaller additions or something like that. So just make sure you do it all at once, get everything in there. Everybody deserves a turn. And then go ahead and give it a nice whisk. You want to do that fast because your chocolate is warm, right? You don't want to cook your eggs. You don't want to hurt them in any way. So, go ahead and give that a nice whisk. And this is going to thicken as it sits. It is ready to put into a pie shell at this very moment. Obviously, as I said, mine is not ready, but this can sit like this. It's better than sitting separate because the chocolate's just going to start cooling and your eggs are, could denature. So it's better to just combine the whole filling and then let the whole filling sit if you're waiting for your pie crust. But if you have an already par-baked pie crust, because you're awesome, and I know you do, then time is now to pour this in. So I will check back in as soon as my pie crust is done. So I baked this about 20 minutes with the parchment and the weights in there, took them out, and then it, kind of puffed a little bit after I took it out, but that's fine because the filling is gonna kind of press it down and no one's gonna know. And then I baked it about another 10 minutes. I forgot that my oven can be kind of slow sometimes. The important thing is that your pie crust is done. Now, I obviously have a warm pie crust, which is not necessary. It's not gonna hurt it, but it's definitely not necessary. So just be aware. And then we're gonna pour our filling into our pie crust. Look at that. Yeah. You can see that our filling, thickened up a little bit as it kind of sat there because it cooled a little bit. None of these things are catastrophic. All of this is gonna taste amazing. We are gonna go ahead and pop this in our oven, which I actually decreased from our par baking to 325 convection. If you don't have convection, then 350 regs is good. So we're gonna get this in the oven and we're gonna continue baking it. It's gonna bake about 40 minutes. It's gonna puff. It's gonna look matte on the top. You're really looking for that nice puff, and it's gonna jiggle like cheesecake when cheesecake is done, okay? So a solid wiggle and not like a loosey-goosey kind of free-floating hippie thing, right? All right, so in it goes. All right, our pie is out. It is cooled. It puffed in the oven, and then I baked for exactly 40 minutes. I did 20 minutes, I rotated it, and then 20 more, and then I took it out. It had puffed, it kind of jiggled like Jello. I tried to film it to show you close up so that you could see, and then as it cooled, it kind of sunk back down. You can see I did put this in the refrigerator because it slices so much better cold. You can slice it, you know, at room temperature, but you're gonna get those nice, beautiful slices if you chill it. I chilled mine just a moment too soon, and so I lost some of the crispness on the top of the crust, so you can see that this is nice and matte, and that is how the whole top is. But I was impatient, if you can imagine, because I wanted to show you guys. Also, let it be known that here we are with our beautifully baked pie crust down there. Do you see that? So we took it out and it was still a little bit, you know, just like a faintest tint of golden brown in the bottom. Didn't look like dough, but it was not done right. And now she is gorgeous. Gorgeous. So without further ado, it's time to try. Oh, I can smell the butter in the pie crust, guys. Woo-wee. It is exceptional. All right, let's go ahead, get our accoutrements. Got myself a plate and a fork and a cake server. It's time to try. Yeah, wow. Look at this beautifully baked pie crust on the bottom. This fudgy, just molten, but baked inside. Oh my goodness gracious. I'm prepared for the decadence already. Oh my gosh. It's like this rich, decadent, fudgy center that just like melts in your mouth, but it's almost like chewy like fudge. It's just, oh, it's chocolate decadence. And you've got the buttery, flaky, all butter pie crust that is like counterbalancing some of the sweetness. It's just this beautiful chocolate pie.